protecting information online is pretty much everything that McAfee is doing. You know, our business exists to secure information online. So it's at the crux of everything we do, from the endpoint technologies to the network. It's all about keeping customers, whether it's the smallest of individual families on up to the largest of corporations and governments. Our business exists entirely to protect people's information online. There's a couple of things relative to trends in cybersecurity. I think the first and probably biggest thing that's pressing everybody these days is really the consumerization of IT. You know, the concept that a device that comes onto the network, whether it's an Android phone, an iPhone, a tablet, whatever device you have, corporations are being increasingly faced with this dynamic where, if you backed up 5 years ago, even a couple of years ago, it was very very normal for a corporation to say, hey, the only thing we support is a BlackBerry. And because of that, they had to buy BlackBerries for all the folks that worked for them. And they would do that because it would let them have only one technical image to present, to authorize to be on their network. But in today's day and age, with just the proliferation of Android phones and iPhones and tablets, it's not realistic for an organization anymore to do that. And the upside for corporations on the consumerization of IT is that you are in a spot where you can tell your employees, I'm not buying you anything anymore, but you can buy whatever you want and I'll allow you onto my network. The downside is that there's a lot more technical standards that corporations have to try and incorporate into their networks. And more importantly is those devices are people's individual devices. If you've got an iPad as an example, being told the only thing you can have on that iPad is your company's email is not realistic. You know, you want your kids to be able to watch movies. You want to be able to download Angry Birds if that's an application that you use. And you know, the whole idea of companies having to try and marry what is generally a personal device and allow that to be secure in a way that it can be on their corporate network is a big trend that we're seeing in IT. I think another one that I see as a general trend in IT is really a move towards cloud-based computing. You know, it's interesting. If I look ahead 5 years, it wouldn't surprise me to see every application cloud-based. You know, the days of wanting to run SAP or Salesforce.com or one of those in an environment that's on-premise for you are gone. You know, I mean, I look at the most confidential data that McAfee has, which is our CRM data, and it's in the cloud. So if we're willing to put that data in the cloud, HR data, manufacturing data, those things aren't far behind. So I think as more and more applications move towards cloud-based computing, it just opens up a whole different series of security concerns for corporations as a result. I think, probably the biggest trend that we're seeing, if we look at governments both in the US and abroad, I think the biggest trends that we're seeing are really just a propensity towards kind of regulations about how to handle critical infrastructure. If it's the oil companies, if it's the power companies, if it's transportation, the real critical infrastructures, it's just making sure that they implement their technologies as they want to bring their customers online in a way that are secure. Because I think the relevance of those organizations being disrupted are in some ways as disruptive as a full war would be. So I think that the government's role in trying to make sure those critical infrastructures are supported is very critical. There's three components from my side if I look at the future of cybersecurity. As I said, I think one of the biggest trends that we're seeing is really a move towards what we call security connected, which is really to become the SAP or Oracle, when you look at their ERP or CRM businesses, the consolidation of vendors into one platform. If you look at the current security landscape, in many ways it's like just building a whole bunch of different walls around your house and hoping that one of those walls keeps the bad guys out. And I think if you look into the future, customers are going to demand that their mobile infrastructure speak to their network infrastructure, speak to the PCs or endpoints they have inside their organizations, and that if something bad is found in any one of those devices, that the rest of their corporation understand that immediately, zero-time response, and be able to block those vulnerabilities. So I think that's the first move, is really towards an integrated suite of security products. It's really amazing to me that in this day and age, that security is one of the last sectors of high tech that really has not gone through that vendor consolidation. Almost all the rest of them, you would have looked back, if you take database as an example, 10, 15 years ago, there was 6, 7 different companies that were all the same size. But today, it's kind of Microsoft, Oracle, and IBM own almost all that market. And when you look into security, it's very standard as I go out there to see CIOs that deal with at least 25, if not as many as 100 different security companies. So I think that whole consolidation, not just in companies buying companies, but in being able to offer customers an integrated platform that really puts the onus of that integration on the security vendor and not on the company, that would be number one. The second thing is around what we call hardware-assisted security. The idea of running above the security running above the operating system in an unprotected mode is just not practical. These are antiquated practices and they don't scale. The sophistication of the bad guys has gotten incredible over the last few years, and security needs to jump forward and leapfrog as a result of that. And that's why we're so excited about the partnership with Intel, as we just really see Intel as being the ability for my engineers to sit side by side with the engineers that are developing the next generation of chip technology. It's going to put us in a position where we can get to higher ground, where we can see more of what's going on inside that machine, and that we can block things more effectively. So I think there'll be a massive evolution towards the the marriage of the chip technology inside of machines, dealing directly with the security software. And then the third one that is out there is really the move to cloud-based computing. If I look at our own organization as an example, I said, I've got my CRM or my forecast data online with Oracle in the cloud. I don't even know where it is. Gone are the days that you have a data center with a server and you know exactly where your information is. I mean, to embrace cloud-based computing, you're buying into the idea that somebody else is managing that infrastructure, and it just opens up a whole different series of security issues, right? If my data is on the same server as the data from other corporations and somebody else get breached, how is my data still kept safe? And our entire move is really around what we call keyboard to cloud, so that you can be on a machine, transacting on the internet in a very safe environment, and that you don't really have to be concerned about the infrastructure issues that sit above you there. So those are the three biggest trends that I see in security.